You see an African American boy, you think potential athlete, you think eccentric, you think could be thug. How many times, either in the classroom or as an admin, I had to deal with a teacher, the response to intervention for a black boy was totally different than the response to intervention for an Asian boy. The expectations, the outcomes, the consequences, the different ways to integrate kids back in the class, it was different. I often would have teachers who had never met the parents in their life, like, hey, can you be in my classroom when I meet this parent? If it's a black boy. Kids African American, they want me in the room. Kids Asian, they ain't tripping.
Now I will never be your hater, I'm your biggest fan. I hope it falls into place just how you planned it. Life could put you in a pickle, just make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving, man. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw that clip. Google a book first so you can find it on Amazon. This is disturbing, but it's not surprising. The reason I say it's disturbing is because you're trying to tell me you're an administrator in a school, I don't know, your principal, vice principal, teacher, something like that, right? Whatever it is. And you're like, you're not really speaking up for black boys. I mean, it's a podcast, and but you're not saying, hey man, you don't even know those parents. Like, what is all this fear? And I'm gonna take it a step further because a lot of the times the fear that people have of black boys is, how can I say this? I'm not gonna say it, it's because you did something. It's your own guilty conscience. Like, you're scared that something's gonna happen because you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing to someone you shouldn't be doing it to. And then it's this, they're gonna just grab me in the parking lot and choke me to death. Well, why would you feel that way in the first place? What were you doing? And as he said, the stereotype, this kid's gonna be an athlete or this, that, and the third or whatever. But a lot of times, people look at it as even with school and parent teacher conferences. Sometimes the parents are working. It's not a thing for the parents to be working and busy of all groups, right? To not be at PTA meetings. You know, it's as Ali Sadiq would say, it's a white woman's sport, right? Meeting the teachers, that's a white woman's sport. Everybody else, not necessarily. But the interesting thing is this: on one end, you got the black parents who are like, I already know what's going on, and I can see I can tell when my kid's being bad, and I can tell when you're being a bad human being to my kid. It's not that difficult because as a black man, been there, done that. You know what I mean? And I've seen the situations where you wonder why the black people aren't coming around to the schools because people are tired of being disrespected. See, you're not gonna I'm not gonna come to the school and meet the teacher, and then you start disrespecting me the same way I was disrespected as a child, the same way other teachers disrespected my parents. And it's like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. I handle this at home, you know. But meeting you 9 times out of 10, I ain't gonna say 9 times out of 10. Let's go 7 times out of 10. I'm gonna not like you too. You get what I'm saying? If it's based on principle, we parents and teachers on the same page. But when it's based on your own little ego and ideologies and stereotypes, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say, because that influences the way you treat the young men. That's the way that influences the way you grade the young men. That influences the way you how can I say, discipline the young men, or encourage them or discourage them. You know, it influences all of that. So that becomes a problem. And for a black man to go to black boys, let me pause on that. When you want to go with this, the Black Struggle Olympics, they're not saying this about black girls. You know what I'm saying? They don't have these stereotypes placed on them. They don't have this hidden uh, animosity and fear heaped up on them. And for a black man to go, an Asian kid, it's not that. They have a different way to approach them, and this, that, and the third. It's not uniform. You're a black man. You should know it's not uniform. You know that already. You knew that before you got the job. You knew that before. You knew that when you were in grade school and high school. So should we be surprised? No. You get what I'm saying? Should we be shocked? No. But ultimately, you got to ask the question. Um, there's no nice way to say this, but do you expect anything else? You know what I'm saying? Do you expect any kind of different treatment of black boys when they're school age? Did you expect it to stop when you became an adult? Did you expect it not to be passed down and from one generation to the next? Is that what you thought? Is that what you were hoping for? Because the way the school system sees black boys hasn't changed. I don't care if the policies changed. I don't care if you shouldn't be able to do this has changed. But in a general sense, this stereotype and mistreatment has never changed. It's always been there. It's always been the same old thing going on over and over and over and over again. So for me listening, it's like my issue is more with you because maybe the clip's too short. But what are you doing? And they should have clipped it and said the other part, like, look, when I got to talk to these teachers, like, listen, man, you don't need, why are you putting all this vitriol and all these stereotypes into your out here? Because these people, they can see it. You know that, right? Like, I don't understand that. If you a black person in a position, you got to tell them, like, the parents and the kid could see this, you know, fear, unnecessary fear, whatever you want to call it. They can see this. They can sense this. They can see, you're supposed to be a teacher, but you're too scared and you're too stuck in your stereotypes just to do your job with these particular students. With everybody else, you act like you got sense, but with these particular students, these black boys, you got an issue and they all see it. And just because everybody else is playing this game where we all agree that we're not going to see what's really going on in front of us, that doesn't mean the group that you're doing it to is blind. You get what I'm saying? So to me, it's just par for the course. But I'm gonna leave it at that. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna tell you that.